Alright, so as you can see, this video looks very different from my usual setup. I'm not in the studio, I am in the living room, and that's also the reason why you can probably hear some motorcycles in the back or whatever is going on there. And this little guy also wants to join in. So in this video, I'll be talking about a particular light that I think is a good entry-level light for beginning content creators and even photographers who want to try shooting with continuous light. In this video, we'll take a look at the Nanlite FS60B LED bicolor light. So some of you might already be asking, why the hell is this landscape photographer suddenly talking about LED lights? Well, I did avoid creating content or even reviewing lights for a while, but then I realized that I've been doing YouTube now for 3 years, and I've been using lights generally for taking photos of products. So this is not in any way an expert review. This is not me teaching you how to use lights in general. This is just me sharing my experience and sharing my opinion on why, if you are an independent content creator or if you are a beginning photographer who wants to explore shooting with continuous light, why this particular light might be a good option for you. So let's open the box and let's see what's inside, and we'll go a bit of a run through on the important things about the FS60B. So for context, what I already have in terms of lighting are pavo tubes and also the Forza 60. And generally, I don't need to get any bigger or stronger lights because my shooting area at home in the studio is actually very, very small. So a 60-watt light or 2 pieces of a 60-watt light would be more than enough, in my opinion. So when we open the box, of course, we have this Bowens mount adapter because the light probably has something smaller. This one, I believe, is a cortado cup. No, I'm kidding. This is a standard reflector. It's a bit unusual to look at compared to the usual standard reflectors that we would get on continuous lights. But I guess because of the fact that the light is actually quite small, they were able to also minimize the size of the reflector. Now, before we even take a look at the light or try out the light, here's one thing I can say. I just hope that future versions of this light can start using exclusively cardboard or biodegradable stuff because, of course, this is styrofoam. And a lot of the brands, especially brands like Sony and Asus and Lowepro, have been reducing their use of plastics and styrofoam. So I do hope that Nanlite can, in the near future, change up into a more eco-friendly packaging. So when we open that part, we of course get this, which is the power cable. And comparing it to the Forza 60, the Forza 60 comes with quite a big power brick. This one doesn't, it's just the wire that goes straight to the light. And that's probably the reason why this is quite a bit bigger than the Forza 60. So this is the FS60B, and of course we have here the attachment where you can put the light stand. And we have, of course, the port for the power switch, a mode button, and 2 dials, one for temperature, and of course another one for the dim or the intensity of the light. Now this is again a bicolor light, which means that it can go from cool to daylight to warm. And the point of that is so that you can also manipulate the color of the light coming from the device, so you can better match it to the ambient light, or if you want to add a bit more contrast, then go the other way. Now this one, similar to the Forza 60, also uses a mini Bowens mount, which means that it is smaller than the standard size for modifiers. And this standard reflector also uses the same size, so you can easily use it like that. Now, if you don't own a modifier yet, then this standard reflector can help you a bit just to diffuse the light and make it a bit softer. But of course, it will not be similar to what you would get if you use a softbox. Now, this is the Bowens adapter that comes with the package of the FS60B, and I guess Nanlite already anticipated the fact that many of its users might want to use other kinds of modifiers with their lights as well, and that's pretty thoughtful. Now, as you can see, what I'm going to use here is this 60 centimeter parabolic softbox that came with my Forza 60 and even with a grid to help me reshape or redirect the light. Now, to give you an idea about the situation, this is basically the lighting fixture of the house, and I'm using it just to have okay lighting. Now, to orient you with the situation, basically this is the lighting fixture of the house, and I'm using it just as a base or as the default before we set up the light. And what you can see here is actually an open window with the sun right there about to set, so it's casting a bit of a warm light. And what we're going to try to do is to basically control what we can control and also fill in for what we cannot control. So we're going to turn off this light and also make use of this light, of course, because it is something that we cannot control, except by, of course, closing the window. But then we will use this light to balance everything out and to make it just generally look a bit more natural. Okay, so this light is out and we're getting exclusively some light coming in from the window, and also this little guy is back here. And I do have the light already set up on the light stand. And one of the reasons why I think that this light is attractive for beginning content creators and also beginning photographers is the fact that it is user-friendly. And basically what makes it user-friendly is the fact that you can pair it via Bluetooth to your phone and control it simply with your phone. As you can see, I am turning on the light now. I am putting it at around 60%, 66% of the brightness, and I can even control the color temperature. And that is with the use of this very simply made application on the phone, which is, of course, the Nanlite app. So you can control the dim, and you can also control the color that goes from 2700 Kelvin all the way to 6500 Kelvin. So you can, as I said, you can use that to either match the ambient light, which I think would be around this at this time, or you can use it to create contrast if, for example, the lighting environment is different. Now, with the application also comes access to the many different modes that you can use with the FS60B. I am currently on CCT mode that gives me control for the brightness and the color temperature. It also has, of course, effect mode. So this is now the CCT loop. It is looping between 3200 to 5600 Kelvin within 8 seconds. And the cycle is two-way. You can make it one-way or you can make it reversed. And of course, there are many other modes such as the flash. And another one is the storm, which if it weren't for the light coming from the window, it would look a bit more natural. There is also bad bulb, which is a mode that kind of gives you some random flickers. Other modes such as paparazzi. So this actually looks more like what I said earlier, which is the camera flashes. This is something that looks like as if I am speaking to you with a television right in front of me here, some candlelight. What you have to consider is that if you are using these effects, you also have to kind of match it to the environment that you want to create. So I'm going back to CCT loop now, and I'm gonna switch back to CCT mode. And there we go. As you can see, it was a very quick setup, and even pairing the light to my phone was so quick. And it's just something that takes away the complications whenever you want to try using lights. Of course, I would say that this is not the best light that you can get, but this is perhaps the best light that you can get for a small budget. This light costs around $200 or 10,000 pesos here in the Philippines. For the features, such as, of course, the app control, and basically the color neutrality, because I have seen some lights that already have a green tinge or a magenta tinge. I can say that this is not the cheapest light that you can get, but I do think that it is value for money because it's not cheap, it's also not expensive, but you do get good quality light and good controls, either with the panel in the back or with your smartphone. Of course, there are going to be many determinants of your lighting. Number one is, aside from the light that you are using, the modifier that you are using as well. If I would have my choice, I would put a bigger modifier for even softer light. And of course, the distance of your subject from the light counts as well. And of course, also the ambient light that you have to manage or control or manipulate or balance out. Now again, I am no expert in lighting. You can scroll back into my videos and criticize all the lights that I've been using in the past 3 years. And basically, this is still also part of my learning experience. But what I can say is that I wish I started with the FS60B when I was just beginning to use continuous light, because this is really easy to use and also flexible because it is again bicolor. There is a fan on it, but I can barely hear it. But also considering the fact that I'm using it at half power, there is barely any noise in the fan inside. And the first light that I got was from a different brand, and I eventually sold it because I thought that it was too big for my setup. Even if it was also just 60 watts, it was much bigger, maybe even double the size of the FS60B, or realistically, double the size of the Forza 60. For this one, I don't think that's a problem, and it is also lighter and smaller, which is why I am turning out to really liking the FS60B. Overall, for a purchase of 10,000 pesos or around $200, it is the kind of light that I would tell others to start with because it does kind of give you a really good experience for your first light. I would always tell beginner photographers and beginner content creators to take things one step at a time. Now, if you are in that step wherein you're about to get your first light, then this is a good option for you. Of course, down the line, you're gonna get another light for your fill, you're gonna get another light for a rim light maybe, or some practical lighting. But again, take it one step at a time and just enjoy the process. Now, if you have any questions about the Nanlite FS60B or maybe something about content creation, then do leave them down below in the comment section. Now, again, of course, my name is Nico Valenzuela. I'm a landscape and architectural photographer, and maybe I should try this light next for using for fills in shooting interiors. But in any case, I am also here to talk about some of the things I have experienced in my journey as a video content creator. So if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comment section. And if you are into whatever I put into this channel, then do click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. In any case, thank you for watching.